Hello, and welcome to another round of Sarah Sabin's question time. And today's question is a big one. Sarah, how do I know when enough is enough? So, high performers tend to set goals and they measure their success by how fast they achieve those goals. So, they might have financial goals, they might have career goals. And what they often tend to find is that they get to those goals and they don't feel any different. They might feel a temporary high, but then they're already on to the next thing and they're continuously climbing the ladder. Now, there's nothing wrong with that per se. There's nothing wrong with having big goals. The problem is that if those goals are not bringing you long-term happiness, success, and fulfillment, there's a missing piece there. And the missing piece is quite often knowing why. I heard a really great quote the other day, and it went something like this. Most people forget to build a life because they're so busy climbing the ladder. Now, a ladder can be endless and infinite. You can be climbing a ladder forever and never get to a destination. You need to understand what you're moving towards. And most people don't really understand that at a very deep level. So that's how you get to very high levels of success, maybe the C-suite, and you have all this money, but you're still anxious. And that's often because you haven't really defined the finish line. You haven't really defined your benchmarks of success, free of everyone else's thoughts, expectations, and opinions. Having this big why in mind is very liberating. It's a motivator when the road gets difficult, which it inevitably will at some point. And it reminds you to not strive for the sake of striving. So you can hold everything up to this why and say, okay, does this get me closer to or further away from what I want to do? Now, examples of what whys are not. If you want to be fit and healthy, a why is not weight loss usually. It's not enough of an incentive for a lot of people to do the things that they need to do in order to lose weight. Getting up to the C-suite to make your parents happy or to make your spouse happy, again, not really enough of an incentive to make sure that you're happy when you actually get there because you're setting a goal based on external validation or other people's expectations. But when you have a very deep intrinsic why that is you, right? It's genuinely authentic to you, who you are, and what you want. That is a completely different thing. It completely changes the game. And that can be related to your highest set of values. So, for example, it could be that your why is your family and building intergenerational wealth for your family. It could be that your why is essentially autonomy. In other words, that you want the freedom to only devote your time to the things that you genuinely care about, are passionate about, and to create the kind of impact that you want to make in the world. It could be that your why is contribution. So it could be that you literally want to generate $100 million because you have big plans of what you're going to do to change the world with that money. What we're talking about is something bigger than yourself. So Again, it could be something more internal as well. It could be that you want to learn to not need anything, and that's your driver. One point to note here is it's very difficult to get to that core why sometimes because we're so subject to societal programming, cultural programming, contagions of what other people are thinking and saying. And remember that this why is going to be unique to you. So, like most things that I talk about, it has an internal component and it has an external component. The internal component relates to emotional regulation. In order to do these big things, to do these big whys and to get there and to plan the route, you need to be in a state where you're not emotionally reacting to everything. So you're not freaking out when markets tank or when the economy looks a bit down or when the mainstream media are talking about a recession, which I think they've been doing continuously for a while now. And it may well be that all of these things are going on outside of you, but the people that actually really are successful, that build and maintain wealth and success over the long term, are grounded in what they're doing and why they're doing it. So they're not reactive. And coming from this non-reactive place is key to getting to that why. So doing that internal work, developing your intuition around that is very key as well as the external part of, okay, here's my why. What does this look like? So how am I going to strategically plan towards that? And it's interesting because for a lot of people, freedom is the end goal. But if you're constantly on that ladder, you're never free because you're forever climbing up and up and up and up to get to this destination that you don't even know about. So if you're feeling a little bit lost, well, if you're feeling a bit lost, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to have a chat about it. But if you're at home by yourself, start to reflect on some of these things that I've talked about in this video and really get honest with yourself. So, the goals that you've set, are they actually things that are important to you? Or are you just setting goals for the sake of setting them?